Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun
Vanchakalpataruveshta kripasindhubevacha patitanam pavanebho vaishnavabho namo namaha Om Agyanantimanam Sagyananjana Shalaka Chakshush Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shamati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Asharaswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nina Visheshashan Pashtatadeshtani Hare Krishna, welcome. We're continuing with our study of Bhakti Shastri, Bhagavad Gita, translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON founder Acharya. Today we'll be covering the 11th chapter. In chapter 10, Krishna explains how he's the origin of everything, and he presents the Chatur Shloki Gita, and then Arjuna responds to that, and then we had a listing of 82 different specific opulences, Vistarena Atmana Jogam Vibhutam Charjanardana, where Krishna in more detail explains his manifested opulences throughout this world. As Prabhupada explained in a purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, the indirect expansions of Krishna's opulence. In chapter 11, Arjuna requests Krishna to show the Virat Rupa, and Krishna describes the Virat Rupa, then Sanjaya describes the Virat Rupa, and then Krishna instructs Arjuna to become an instrument in his mission. In chapter 10, Krishna very clearly declared himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the source of everything, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, in text number 8. Ekang Shtena Shtito Jagat, everything is resting upon a fragmental expansion of me, in text 42. So, in chapter 11 now, Pashame Jogamashran, behold my mystic opulence. Krishna will anyone can say that I am the source of everything, everything is resting on me, anyone can say that. But in order to verify his statement he made in chapter 10, Krishna now will demonstrate everything. When Arjuna is standing on the chariot, Ekam Stena Stito Jagat, and he shows everything to Arjuna in the Virat Rupa, the huge cosmic manifestation form of the Lord. Prabhupada's commenting, Arjuna wants to see the universal form to set a criterion, for in the future there would be so many impostors who would pose themselves as incarnations of God. The people therefore should be careful. One who claims to be Krishna should be prepared to show his universal form to confirm his claim to the people. We see many so-called incarnations of God constantly appearing in the public eye. You can watch the Ashta channel on the television, and you'll see many gods speaking. Many gods are there, and many new gods coming. Even if such preachers themselves may not directly claim to be God, it is rumored amongst their followers, and they allow those rumors to continue because, after all, it's quite convenient if many of your followers consider you God. So, for such false impostors, we can challenge them. Just as Krishna displayed his Virat Rupa, gigantic cosmic manifestation, to Arjuna, so similarly you kindly display for us the universal form, and in this way we're able to set a criterion to evaluate the authenticity of the incarnation of Godhead. And naturally such false incarnations are unable to demonstrate such an amazing phenomena as the Virat Rupa, and in this way their falsity can be exposed. Prabhupada is describing the nature of the Virat Rupa in his purport to text number 5. As the material nature is manifested and not manifested, similarly this universal form of Krishna is manifested and not manifested. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. And in the Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto, Prabhupada comments, the Virat Rupa or the Vishwa Rupa, The gigantic universal form of the Lord, which is very much appreciated by the impersonalists, is not an eternal form of the Lord. It is manifested by the supreme will of the Lord after the ingredients of the material creation. The Virat Rupa is not an eternal form of the Lord exhibited in the spiritual sky. It is material manifestation of the Lord. The Archavigya, or the worshipable deity in the temple, is a similar manifestation of the Lord for the neophytes. But in spite of their material touch, such forms of the Lord as the Virat and the Archa are all non-different from his eternal form as Lord Krishna. In text number 8, Krishna is explaining, Na tumam shakshushe drashtum annanaiva sachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshu pasham me jogam aishwaryam. You cannot see me with your present eyes, therefore I give you divine eyes to behold my mystic opulence. Pasham dadami divyam dadami te chakshu, divine eyes. In considering the position of Arjuna, we can see that the bestowing of divine eyes, it's not exactly an upgrade for Arjuna. Because Arjuna, with the Premanjana, with the eyes tinged with the salve of love, he was able to directly see Krishna as his friend, as his personal associate, in the Shakya Ras, in a direct relationship of friendship. And in that relationship, the demonstration of the opulence of the Lord, actually, it minimizes the intimacy of such a relationship. So therefore, Arjuna was not seeing opulence. He's seeing Krishna in a more intimate way, with the Premanjana, the eyes tinged with the salve of love, in his relationship as a friend. So in this case, Krishna is bestowing upon Arjuna the Dibya Chakshu, the divine eyes, so that his natural condition of seeing Krishna as a friend and a personal associate, intimate associate, that can be somewhat covered over, and he can see the divine opulence of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada's commenting in his purport. Devotees who are correctly situated and transcendental relationship with Krishna are attracted by loving features, not by a godless display of opulence. The playmates of Krishna, the friends of Krishna, and the parents of Krishna never want Krishna to show his opulences. They are so immersed in pure love that they do not even know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kevala Shuddha Prem Aishajana Jane, in his teachings to Rup Goswami, describing Braja Prem, Mahaprabhu is explaining, in the Vrindavan, Kevala Shuddha Prem Aishajana Jane. They do not consider, they are not aware. They're not aware of Krishna's opulences as the Supreme Lord, all that be. They do not consider him the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They simply see him as their playmate, as their child, or as their lover. This is the special flavor of the Braja Prem, Kevala Shuddha Prem. And Prabhupada's commenting, the purpose of Arjuna requesting Krishna to show the universal form is to set the criterion so that future generations can understand the proof that Sri Krishna displayed the Virat Rupa, and thus this conclusively establishes him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also it sets a criterion for anyone claiming to be an incarnation that we can expect them to be able to demonstrate the universal form Virat Rupa. For this reason, Arjuna requested it. Those who are actually interested in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna should understand that Krishna not only theoretically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually revealed himself as the Supreme. Prabhupada's commenting in text 14, after Krishna displays this gigantic form, the Virat Rupa, Vishwarupa Darshan. Before, Krishna and Arjuna had a relationship based on friendship. But here, after the revelation, Arjuna is offering obeisances with great respect, and with folded hands he is praying to Krishna. He is praising the universal form. Thus Arjuna's relationship becomes one of wonder rather than friendship. This is described this is mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as an example of where one of the 5 primary rasas, Arjuna was in the Shakya ras, it becomes overwhelmed by one of the 7 secondary rasas, in this case the Adbhut ras, or the ras of wonder. And Arjuna, sitting on a chariot with his folded hands, he's completely overwhelmed, seeing this gigantic manifestation of the Lord's potency. And very beautifully, Sanjaya describes in detail the gigantic universal form. So having heard the description of the Virat Rupa, Arjuna inquires in text 31 and 32, I want to know about you, for I do not know what is your mission. And Krishna explains, Kaloshmi lokakshaya krit prabrido. I am time, the great destroyer of the worlds. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, Asavya Shachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Nimitta matram bhavasavya Shachi. Prabhupada's commenting in his purport, text 32, this form of the Supreme Lord is the all-devouring giant, and here Krishna presents himself in that form of all-devouring time. Except for a few Pandavas, everyone who is present on that battlefield will be devoured by him. Arjuna was not in favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight, but then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed, for that was his plan. And Arjuna should simply nimitta matra bhava. Nimitta means the instrument, bhava, become, nimitta matra bhava, become my instrument, savya shachin. Prabhupada's commenting on this fact in his lectures. That is the beauty of the Lord's dealings with his devotees. Sometimes the Lord gives more credit to his devotees than he takes for himself. For instance, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna fought simply by giving directions. Yet it was Arjuna who took the credit for fighting. Nimitta matram bhavashavya shachin. Everything was arranged by the Lord, but the credit of victory was given to Arjuna. Similarly, in the Krishna consciousness movement, everything is happening according to the prediction of Lord Chaitanya, but the credit goes to Lord Chaitanya's sincere servants. When he was visiting Ramkeli to deliver Rupa and Sanatan, at that time Srimad Mahaprabhu was performing Sankirtan with his followers just near the palace of the Nawab, the ruler of Bengal. Devotees were concerned that this may be taken as an uprising. And so they sent messengers to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, of course, the messenger actually was unable to attract the attention of Gaurasunda because he was so much absorbed in the kirtan. When the Nawab sent his chief constable to evaluate the situation, the chief constable came back and he gave such a beautiful description of Gaurasunda, how his lotus-like face was like shining, rising 100 moons. His eyebrows were like Cupid's upturned bows. His eyes were like lotus petals reaching back to his ears. His lips were ruby red like coral. His teeth were like white like pearl. His neck was like that of a lion. His chest was like that of an elephant. And his beautiful golden limbs were like the rising sun, draped with a beautiful arun reddish cloth. And he said the most amazing thing about this mendicant, he'd seen so many mendicants in his life, but he'd never seen a mendicant like this. His opinion was that this is more like a prince in the dress of a mendicant. He said the most amazing thing is that within every hour he falls to the ground, premabhishta, overwhelmed with love of Godhead, and completely unconscious, at least 100 times. You can do the statistical equation. If you fall in an hour, falling down 100 times, that means every minute, every 1-2 minutes, falling down and getting up out of love of Godhead. So when the messenger came, he was unable to actually get the attention of Gaurasunda to give the message, and he had to give to Mahaprabhu's followers. The message was that perhaps this is not the best place to do the Sankirtan, so close to the Nawab's palace. At that time, Mahaprabhu, he made an announcement, which our acharyas regularly mention, Srila Prabhupada regularly quotes. He raised his hands and he said, Pritividyache Jotonagaradi Gram Sabatra Prosha Hoibe Monam. Pritividyache Jotonagaradi Gram. On this planet, Joto Nagaradi Gram, as many villages and towns there are, Sabatra, in all of them, Prochar Hoibe Murnam, there will be the spreading of my holy name. So this is the Bhavishat Bani, the future prediction of Sriman Gaurasunda. And certainly this prediction will be fulfilled. So as followers of Srila Prabhupada participating in the international preaching of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we can either participate in this mission, become part of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission, Nimitta Matra Bhava, becoming his instrument. That opportunity is there. However, if we choose not to, it will happen anyway. Someone else will get the opportunity. So one should be enthusiastic, utsaha. One should be enthusiastic to participate. It's going to happen anyway. It doesn't depend upon us. It's not that we are the doer. Mahaprabhu's desire will be fulfilled. And simply he's giving us an opportunity to participate and that way be blessed and be given the credit. Mahaprabhu, he preached in India and he left the whole of the world for Srila Prabhupada. And many places still the Sankirtan movement needs to be spread. Of course, Prabhupada preached on every continent, but many places, in India, in Asia, many places. Recently I arrived in Australia. Even we've been preaching in Australia for more than 40 years, close to 50 years, Krishna Consciousness Movement. And I was speaking with the customs officer there. They were checking some of the paraphernalia that I was bringing. And when I mentioned to them, I'm with the Hare Krishna movement, they were young people, a young lady. She'd never heard of the Hare Krishna movement. Never heard. And she's in Melbourne. We've been preaching there for 50 years. So, Jotanagaradi Gram, in every town and village, there is so much opportunity for spreading Krishna consciousness. And we should take up this mission. We should become enthusiastic. And we will feel with the desire to become an instrument of Gaurasunda in his Sankirtan movement. With that desire, we can become empowered. We can feel the empowerment. Mahaprabhu's desire, if we become the instrument for facilitating that desire, then we can experience the empowerment of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is desiring to empower us. Any fool, anyone can become empowered. That is the nature of Mahaprabhu's mercy. Potit pavan hetu tab avata. He came to purify the most fallen. Let us take a look at what's going on in the 11th chapter, overview. In verses 1 to 8, Arjuna requests and Krishna describes the universal form. The Kala Rupa is described in verses 15 to 34, Sanjay's description of the Virat Rupa. Krishna instructs Arjuna to become his instrument in verses 32 to 34. And now, verses 35 to 46, Arjuna offers prayers, having seen the universal form. And then Krishna displays his two-armed form, which is most cherished and preferred by the loving devotees. So in text 35, after seeing this gigantic form of the Lord, all-devouring, Arjuna begins to Kritanjali Vepamanaha Kirati Namaskritva. The trembling Arjuna offered obeisances with folded hands again and again. Arjuna said, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate, the sanctuary of this material cosmic world. You are the knower of everything. You are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O limitless form, the whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all-pervading, and thus you are everything. The prayers of Arjuna are full of Aishwarya and wonder, appreciating the opulence of the universal form. These 11th chapter, the verses in the 11th chapter are very beautiful and very reverential. In the Prabhupada Lilamrita is described that Srila Prabhupada, when he was at Scottish Church College in Kolkata, he was studying arts there. He was a member of the Sanskrit Society, and it mentions that he would regularly recite by heart the entire 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in the Sanskrit. Prabhupada comments in his purport to text 35, Arjuna became bewildered in wonder. Thus he began to offer his respectful obeisances to Krishna again and again. And with a faltering voice he began to pray, not as a friend, but as a devotee in wonder. Text 41 and 42 are very significant. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadav, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Ajanataha mahimanam tavedam. Not knowing your glories, I have addressed you in these familiar terms. Hey Krishna. Hey Krishna is a familial term. Just like you're calling your friend, hey, Govinda, itikasho, come this. Without any respectful honorific title. Hey Yadhav, that's the family name of Krishna. And actually the Pandavas were the ruling race, and they were actually senior. They were superior to the Yadavs. Hey Yadav, hey Shakyati, hey friend, hey buddy, hey good friend. Prabhupada comments, Arjuna did not know how many times he may have dishonored Krishna by addressing him, O my friend, O Krishna, O Yadav, etc., without acknowledging his opulence. But Krishna is so kind and merciful that in spite of such opulence, he played with Arjuna as a friend. Such is the transcendental loving reciprocation between the devotee and the Lord. This incident is referred to by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Rup Shikha, when he's explaining to Srila Rupa Goswami the Braja Prem and the exalted nature of Kevala Shuddha Prem, the love of Godhead which is demonstrated by the residents of Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu cites this example of Arjuna, how Arjuna is in a relationship of friendship with the Lord. However, when the Lord displays his opulence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the Sarvasya Prabhava, the root and cause of everything and the source of all emanations, when he displays that great opulent form to Arjuna, Arjuna becomes overwhelmed, and then Arjuna, he begins to regret and he begins to lament and he begins to seek forgiveness for Krishna for dealing with him in a way where he's unaware of his opulence, forgetting that and dealing with him in an intimate way. However, as Prabhupada's mentioning here, Krishna enjoys such a loving relationship with his intimate devotees. And in Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu gives the example, when Krishna shows his opulence, in this way he's clarifying the superior quality of the Braja Prem. Kevala Shuddha Prem Aishwarya na jane, Aishwarya dekleo, Nija Shambhanda Shemane. Aishwarya dekleo. Even when the Lord displays his opulence, Aishwarya dekleo, Nija Shambhanda Shemane. The Brajabasis, it doesn't disturb Nija Shambhanda, their intimate, familiar relationship with the Lord. And the example that Mahaprabhu gives to Rupa Goswami is Jashodama. One day when the cowherd boys, along with Krishna, returned from the pasturing grounds, and the cowherd boys, they accused Krishna that today Krishna ate clay. And Maharaj showed him, is that true? You ate clay? And Krishna said, no. They're just ganging up against me. Today I had a dispute with Balaram, and now they're ganging up against me. And Mother says, come here, let me see. You open your mouth. And when Krishna sat on her lap and opened his mouth, what did she see? She saw this, the Virat Rupa. It's very described in detail in Bhagavatam. Prabhupada describes in the Krishna book. She saw everything. She saw the unmanifest material element. She saw the Pradhan. She saw the Mahat Tattva. She saw the Tribhuvanath, the three planetary systems. She saw the earth planet. She even saw Bharat. She saw Vrindavan, and she even saw her sitting there with Krishna on her lap. And it's very interesting that momentarily, Bhagavatam explains that momentarily, Ma Jasoda became somewhat philosophical. And she began to question, why am I wasting my life here in family life? I should become serious about self-realization. This is quite charming that she is Ma Jasoda. She is the eternal mother of the Lord, and she's reciprocating in the intimate relationship of Vatsalya Ras. And she's thinking, why am I wasting my life here in family life? I should get serious about Atma Tattva Gyan, self-realization. And then she says, oh, you stupid woman, forget it. You haven't got time for this. This is your child. You have to feed him. You have to look after him. This is Aisharja Dekleo. Even though he displays his opulence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nija Shambandha Shaimane, it doesn't overwhelm their intimate connection, Shambandha, their relationship, Nija Shambandha, their relationship with him as a family member. That is so deep, that is so developed in the heart of the devotee, that even Krishna, he displays opulences, look, I'm God, and it doesn't, they don't think he's God. Momentarily, it's like on the level of Lord Narayan. It's a Supreme Personality. But again, they forget. He's Nanda Dulal. He is Bangshidhari. This is Vrindavan Prem. And Mahaprabhu is comparing these two instances to illuminate the exalted nature of Vrindavan Prem. The other example that Mahaprabhu gives to Rupa Goswami is that when Krishna and Balaram left Vrindavan and arrived at Mathura and engaged in the wrestling match with Mushtika and Chanura, and then killed Kamsa. First they wandered through Mathura, they saw the tailor, they saw the florist, and they saw the washerman, and they killed the elephant Kuvalayapida. They didn't first go and see Devaki and Vasudeva. And then in the arena, they killed the wrestlers Chanura, Mushtika, and then climbed up on the pandal, and Krishna pulled Kamsa down and then killed Kamsa. So after all of this, Devaki and Vasudeva came before Krishna and Balaram. And Bhagavatam explains that at first, Devaki, seeing Krishna and Balaram, she experienced feelings of maternal affection. And she wanted to embrace them. However, she remembered that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just in the Mathura Leela, when Krishna, the Janma Leela, he appears and he demonstrates his Chatur Bhuj, four-armed Lord Narayan form, just to establish that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for whom Devaki and Vasudeva prayed to have as their child. So to confirm that he had appeared, he showed his form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, displayed with all opulences. And they were aware, Devaki and Vasudeva were aware that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So remembering that, even though she's feeling she's experiencing these feelings of maternal affection, and she wanted to embrace Krishna, she restrained herself and she offered her respects. And Bhagavatam is describing this, and Mahaprabhu is explaining that in this way the intimacy of the Shuddh Kebala Prem is minimized by knowledge of Krishna's opulence. Just as today, first month of Kartik, and we sang in the temple this morning here in front of Shishi Rashbihari, Radha Rashbihari, we sang Iti Drik Shalilabi Ananda Kundei Shragosham nimajantam akyaipayantam, that iti driksha lila, seeing these pastimes. If Mother Jasoda had the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then she wouldn't be able to behave in the way that is so sweet. That she's taking the stick and she's chasing after him, and the bangles are and the sari is loosening in her hair as she's chasing after him. If she's thinking if she's aware that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then she'll say, Prabhu, you break the butter pots, you steal the yogurt, Avna Icha, you are the Supreme Lord. And so where's the enjoyment for Krishna? So in Vrindavan, the devotees, Jogmaya completely covers their Aisharja Gyan, and they can engage in such sweet pastimes. And iti driksha lilabi, seeing these sweet pastimes, ananda kunde swagosham nimajantam, he merges his swagosham, his village associates, swagosham, his own family, his village people, swagosham, ananda kunde nimajantam, they're merged in pools of bliss, seeing these pastimes. And when we hear these pastimes, Bal Gopal and all Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, they're so sweet. The Madhurya Ras is full of sweetness and rasa and affection, exchanges of affection. Tadiyeshita geshu bhakti rajita tvam. He's demonstrating with these lilas, Tadiyeshita, that those who are Tadiyeshita geshu, Ishita geshu, those who have knowledge of his position as the Supreme Lord, they are not as intimately connected to him as Bhakti Jitatvan, as those who have intimate relationship with him, devoid of awareness of the opulences. Bhakti Jitatvam, he is conquered by the devotees who love him in that way, in the Vrindavan Prema. And this type of love of Godhead can be awakened by following the teachings of Rupa Goswami, coming through Srila Prabhupada, as we are following and we are preaching all people to accept and imbibe Mahaprabhu's incarnation. He came to give that type of prem. Jugadharma Pravartana. Mahaprabhu is the Kaviraj Goswami is explaining the specific exalted, unique feature of the Gorshunda avatar, that Jugadharma Pravartana Hoya Angsha Hoite. He comes to spread the Jugadharma, Nam Shankirtan, and preach that all over the world. But Kaviraj Goswami is explaining that any of the Angshas, any of the plenary expansions of Lord Hari can also propagate the Yuga Dharma. That's not the real purpose for the Lord's incarnating as Gaurashunda. Yuga Dharma Pravatana Hoya Angsha Hoite. Amar Bina Anna Nay Braja Prema Dite. Besides me, no one can bestow upon the conditioned souls the Vrindavan Prem. So Sri Krishna himself takes the form of Gaurashunda Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to freely distribute the Vrindavan Prem through the spreading of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Krishna Prema Pradayate. He's freely distributing Putit Pavan Hetu Taba Avatar, and he's distributing that indiscriminately. Radha Krishna bolare shabai e shikha niye shab nadiye fichin neche gornitai. He's wandering through Nadia, freely distributing in his intoxicated state, freely distributing Radha Krishna Prema, Radha Krishna bolare shabai to everyone. In text 46, Arjuna reveals his desire, he requests to see the four-armed form of the Lord. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see that form. He is now, Prabhupada's commenting in the purport, he is now asking to see the form of Narayan, a spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. Krishna continues in verses 49 to 54. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken this to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna, Shomya Bapu, the most beautiful form. Krishna comments in text number 54. Bhakta Tvananaya Shakya Aham Evam Vidojuna Gyatum Trashtum Chatadena Praveshtam Cha Parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service, Ananda Bhakti, can I be understood as I am, standing here before you, and thus can be seen directly. Gyatum Drashtum Chatatvena. We can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can understand Him in truth by Ananda Bhakti. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. And Krishna concludes the 11th chapter with a very important verse of Bhagavad Gita, which Srila Prabhupada comments is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Mat kama krin, mat paramo, mat bhakta shanga bharjitaha, niravara isharvabhuteshu, yashamamiti pandavaha. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation. He who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of life, and who is friendly to every living entity, he certainly comes to me. In the purport, mat karma krin, one should engage in serving in the mission of the Lord. One should work for the Lord. Mat parama, one should make satisfaction of the Lord the ultimate goal of his life. Mad bhakta, one should become the Lord's devotee. Sangavarjitaha, one should abandon other motivations such as material remuneration or even liberation in the impersonal Brahman. And niravayarai saravabhuteshu, one should be free from envy of all living entities, recognizing that Krishna Odishtan, that Krishna is present in their heart, and treat all living entities with love and encourage them also to awaken their Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada describes this as a formula of Krishna consciousness. Anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all personalities of Godhead in the Krishna Loka planet, in the spiritual sky, and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, must take this formula, as stated by the Supreme Himself. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So in the 11th chapter, we saw Arjuna requesting Krishna to reveal his universal form, to prove what he had said in the 10th chapter, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, everything emanates from him, and to set a criteria for any incarnation of the Lord to show the universal form. Mentioned here that this universal form was never seen before. When Krishna went to the palace of the Kauravas, he displayed a partial manifestation of the universal form to Duryodhana and others, and even Duryodhana still foolishly thinking at that time he would be able to capture Krishna and put him in the jail. And on another occasion in the Gaur Lila, also Advaita Goshai at one time requested Gaurshunda to reveal his universal form, and he displayed the Virat Rupa to Advaita Acharya. And at that time also Nityananda Prabhu came and he also took darshan of the Vishwarup. And Advaita Goshai commented, this is my show, what are you doing here? And in the sweet Navadip Leela, Sriman Mahaprabhu displayed the Virat Rupa. And we saw Arjuna's prayers in appreciation, the Adbhut Rosh, as he was overwhelmed with the magnificence and the greatness of the opulence of the Lord in the Virat, huge, gigantic manifestation. He saw all of the soldiers on both sides being devoured by the ferocious teeth of the universal form. He inquired about the Lord's mission, and the Lord explained that I have come here to remove the burden of the earth, nimitta matra bhava, and you become my instrument. Arjuna subsequently lamented over his intimacy and that he forgot the opulence of the Lord, and Mahaprabhu is explaining that as an example of how In Vrindavan, even when Krishna displays his opulence, it doesn't overwhelm the intimate relationships that the Brajavasis have with the Lord, and this indicates the superlative nature of the Braja Prem, which can be awakened by chanting Hare Krishna following the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami. Krishna subsequently just demonstrates his forearm form to Krishna, and Prabhupada indicates this is evidence that Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam, as Bhagavatam explains that Krishna is the original form of Godhead, and then his beautiful two-arm form. In this way, in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the universal form of the Lord is displayed. Prabhupada comments in his purport to text 55, in the Brahma Samhita it is stated that those who are attached to Sham Shunda form of Krishna and love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand therefore that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Hare Krishna.